After introductions, the MP tells us that although the gambling industry's lobbying had been relatively successful, the contents of the review were once again up in the air with the appointment of a new Culture Secretary, Lucy Fraser.
Now we've got a new Secretary of State. I spoke to her yesterday. The alarm bells were ringing, to tell you the truth, on two different levels. A, I don't think she's got a grasp of the detail of the reform she should have at this stage. And then B, not only did she fail to have a grasp of the finer points, but her general directions seem to be taking it back to pre-Rishi Sunak days, which was when we were looking at affordability proposals potentially being levied upon everybody
those are our biggest
who
concern,
has an online account. Essentially, the industry needs to start its lobbying process once again.
We asked Benton what he could offer the company as an MP that a conventional lobbying or PR outfit couldn't. MPs are not allowed to approach ministers or ask parliamentary questions in order to benefit a company which is giving them, or proposing to give them, a financial reward.
That's a very good question. Probably the direct ear of a minister who's actually going to make these decisions. So, two different. I'll be entirely honest. I'll speak as a non-politician, having worked in PR in the past. PR agencies are absolutely great. They have established set of contacts. They know how to work the room, etc. The one thing they don't have is direct access to a government minister. We vote in House Commons 2 or 3 times a day. We'll be voting later. You will literally stand at the beginning, at the entrance to the voting lobby, and if you wait there for 5 minutes, the minister has to pass you, and then you've got 10 minutes while you walk around to the next vote to have his ear. We can obviously put parliamentary questions on the table, so PCMS questions on Thursday, so we can ask things in a direct manner in public to see if the reaction we get is consistent with what we get in private, which isn't always the case. There's written questions as well, where we can table things on the public record and get an instant response within 5 working days on any question whatsoever, which obviously nobody else outside the political realm can.
He then shows us a written question he has recently tabled, he says, on behalf of a company.
Oh, there we go. It was 2 weeks ago, 17th of February. So there's a written question. So that was sent in on behalf of one business, essentially.
Right, where am I looking at the top here?
This one here. The Office of Product Safety and Standards conduct an investigation into regulators for repeated breaches of the regulator's code, and within 5 days you get a full answer.
Great.
In response to that answer as well, you get a private note from the minister, which sometimes tells you information he couldn't put in the public domain.
And you don't need to say with that, it wouldn't be public that we've asked you to do that, it would just, you just get the response. And
I'd have to declare an interest.
Right, okay.
But I wouldn't have to declare what the interest is.
Right.
So as long as I've gone on the public record and say I'm declaring an interest because I may be connected to an operator in the gaming world who I've had contact with in the past.
Benton suggests other ways in which he could help TAR partners to push for policy changes that would benefit their interests. MPs are prohibited from advising companies on how to influence Parliament.
Meeting with advisors, I think, is urgent. Meeting with the minister himself, Stuart or Lucy, would be absolutely fantastic. Although probably less likely than meeting Stuart, who's the direct minister responsible. Tabling some written questions to try and flesh out the government's intentions on X, Y and Z, and then probably writing something more formal and having me sit down with the minister and go through it line by line. I've supported other colleagues' particular asks in meetings when they've spoken to company X, Y and Z, and I'm sure they would return the favour as well.
We ask about the white paper, which is due imminently. This policy document is likely to contain market-sensitive information, but Benton says he is willing to leak a copy before it is made public.
Would it be realistic to get advanced sight of the white paper, for example, when it's sort of finally decided, or anything on those lines?
Probably. That would only be a number of days, so...
Okay, so that would still be useful for investment?
Yeah, for a bit of account site.
Absolutely, I could guarantee you would get that within 48 hours of publication, for example.
Before publication?
Yeah, I would make a song and dance and making sure that happens.
Great.
As the meeting wraps up, the conversation turns to how much he would be paid if hired to do around 2 days' work a month.
What sort of, and would you have a figure in mind? What sort of compensation would you be looking for?
I'll leave that to you. I think that would be remiss of me to give.
I mean, we were thinking probably in the range of £2,000 to £4,000 a month, but I don't know if that sounds in the right ballpark.
Yes, I
for
think
you.
that's